Nosotros queremos, antes que nada, garantizar la más absoluta transparencia del Estado en su competencia para investigar y lograr llegar a los autores intelectuales del intento de homicidio hasta ahora.
Frente a esto, la Policía Nacional, por disposición del Ministro de Defensa Nacional, ofrece una recompensa de hasta 3.000 millones de pesos para quien nos dé información adicional y complementaria.
They were looking at something pretty serious unfolding in Colombia, a violent attack on a really prominent political figure there.
Yeah, and for this, we're leaning entirely on a report from DW News. Our plan is to unpack what that specific report told us right at the time.
Right. So, what exactly happened according to DW, who was involved, and crucially, what were the immediate political takes presented in that report?
Okay, so first, the attack itself. The DW source details that Miguel Uribe described as a Colombian presidential candidate, also an opposition senator. He was shot, wounded.
Okay.
This happened in Bogota, apparently during some kind of campaign event. The report said he got hit 3 times.
3 times, wow.
Yeah, 2 shots to the head, 1 to the leg. That's what the source specified.
That sounds incredibly serious. Did the report say anything about his condition then?
It did. DW reported him as being in critical condition right after it happened. He was rushed to hospital, spent time in the reanimation room, and then got moved to a more specialized hospital later. But the report also noted that, detailed info on his exact state wasn't really available when they were reporting.
Understood. Limited information. Now, they caught someone, right? Yeah. A suspect. What did DW say about that person?
Yes. The report confirms the Colombian police arrested a suspected shooter.
Okay.
And this person, according to the source, is a 15-year-old Colombian. 15.
15.
Yeah. And reportedly armed with a Glock 9mm. Also, interestingly, the source notes this suspect was also injured, shot in the leg during the whole thing.
A 15-year-old armed and also injured. Did the source give any sense of why this arrest was significant so early on?
It did, yeah. The DW correspondent, who was actually there on the ground, described this young person as basically the biggest key or link authorities had right then.
To figure out who was behind it all?
Exactly. To try and understand the motive, who might have orchestrated it. The report also mentioned the suspect is being treated in hospital too, but under police guard, obviously.
Okay, so we've got the basic facts from the DW report. The attack, the victim state, the suspect caught. But then there's the political reaction. Uribe is an opposition figure, right? How did the report cover that immediate fallout?
Right. And this is where the DW report really showed the kind of immediate tension. It mentions, Colombia has a history of political violence, sadly. And it stated that leaders from the left, including the president, they quickly condemned the attack, sent messages hoping for Uribe's recovery.
Okay, sort of the expected official condemnations. But the source also included a different angle almost immediately.
Exactly that. The report then brings in someone named Marco Rubio. Now, the source calls him the United States Chancellor, which, sounds like an unusual title, but that's the term DW used.
Okay, and what did he say?
He suggested, according to the report, that the political atmosphere, specifically he mentioned the way people are speaking politically in the country, might be the reason behind things like this. And the report noted Rubio specifically pointed towards the rhetoric of the left movement in that context.
Wow, okay, so the DW report presents this immediate contrast. You've got the official condemnations, and then this other voice, highlighted by the source, suggesting blame links to left-wing rhetoric. What did the DW reporter themselves make of these narratives popping up so fast?
Well, the DW correspondent reporting on it directly called it a tricky moment for Colombia.
Tricky.
They pointed out that attempts to sort of assign blame to one political side or the other were already happening.
Right.
But, and this is key, without enough evidence at this point, that observation is straight from the DW report itself. It's showing how the source was flagging these instant political interpretations, these accusations, even while facts were really scarce.
That's a really important detail the source included. It wasn't just reporting the attack, but also reporting on the reaction, how it immediately split, how blame was being assigned, while their own reporter is saying, hang on, there's no evidence yet.
Precisely. The source really captured that dynamic, initial shock and maybe solidarity, but then very quickly attempts to find a political cause, even when the investigation was barely starting.
So, wrapping this deep dive on the DW report, we've got the core facts as presented by them, The attack on Miguel Uribe, his critical condition reported at the time, and this arrest of a very young suspect.
Yeah, and maybe even more importantly, the source showed us that immediate political reaction. Both the condemnation, sure, but also how quickly these different competing narratives about blame emerged.
Right, even with a reporter pointing out the lack of evidence.
Exactly.
But this really helps us understand not just this specific awful event, but it also gives you insight into how stories and blame can form so fast based on so little in these really charged situations.
It absolutely does. And it leaves you thinking, given that the source itself brought up speculation about political rhetoric being a cause, but also had its reporter stress the lack of evidence for any such claims right then, it really makes you ponder the role of, let's say, immediate public commentary versus verified facts when we try to grasp why such terrible violence happens. Where's the line?